What's happening, fam? L.A.R. movement still moving. Book is entitled Lessons from a Non-Custodial Father at Amazon, Kindle, and Create Space. Link will be in the description box below as usual. Go get it. PayPal link there also. They asked me to put it up, so I'll put it up. Thanks everybody for supporting. This video is entitled Dysfunctional Elders. Let me explain this to you. And I had this conversation with my mother this morning, and I was on a panel, Chaos's panel. What's up? Shout out to Chaos Rain. Subscribe. And I was talking to some elders, and I started thinking about it, that some of our elders are just dysfunctional, and they don't see that they're dysfunctional, and they've been doing things for so long, and they assume because they're older than you that it makes sense. And I was talking to my mother, I was talking to my uncle, and they had went back home to New Orleans. And being back home, and they seeing people that they grew up with, family members, friends, just people that knew them coming up, because New Orleans is a small city that, and people have great memories. So if they remember you and they see you out, they're going to say, hey, it don't really matter how long it's been. And I got these stories from both of them. It's like, we left, but we didn't expect the people to not grow after all of these years. And we started talking about things where, some people who are older than I am have the tendency to not actually evolve and grow. They're stuck in whatever mindset that they were stuck in when they were younger. And we were talking about taking care of homes, just like we was talking online about taking care of homes and gentrification and whatnot. And there's a lot of older people who they inherited property from their parents, or they inherited money from their parents, and they just squandered it. And when they squandered it, they had a jolly good time, but they left nothing to the generation after them. And then they're like, well, y'all need to do something. I don't know what you do. I mean, we worked hard in my generation, but a lot of people who say that didn't really work hard in their generation. They had a support system of their parents. And, all of these statements and tactics lead me to believe that, there's some dysfunctional elders. One of the women was talking last night on a panel that, modern day women don't know how to submit to men because they weren't taught to, because they were raised by their mothers who didn't do it, and their mothers who didn't do it, and their mothers who didn't do it. And one of the older brothers was there talking, and he was like, these young men don't know how to be men, this, that, and the third. And it's like, and I had to ask, if the women keep saying that the women don't know how to be women because, the men left, the guys my uncle and grandfathers, my uncles and parents' age, or even my grandfather's age, were the guys who were leaving. So if you're in that same age bracket, but you're like, oh, young blood, y'all don't know what's going on, you know what I'm saying? Back in my day, the men was real men and stuff. While the women in your same era, like the men would just left women destitute. It's like, why you young bloods don't have a rite of passage? Did you have a rite of passage? Yeah, we did. You know what I'm saying? So when it was your time to pass on the torch and have the rites of passage for the younger men, did you do it? Well, you see, young blood, you brothers got to do it on your own, young blood. You know what I'm saying? I just want you to know, we didn't have no help, but you just said that you had rites of passage, and I'm assuming people helped you. Yeah, they helped us, but that ain't the problem. Like, you got to get your own young blood. Like, okay, you made a lot of mistakes, and now you wanna, since the generation who brought you up is probably dead. Now you wanna act like, it's the people under you and not you. And it's like, it's dysfunctional. Part of the alcoholism and the drug use came from what? Dysfunctional elders who thought it was a good thing to just get drunk all the time, smoking cigarettes all the time. Like, dysfunctional behaviors became so normal that people pass down dysfunction as if it was an inheritance. I'm gonna teach you how to smoke these Newports, Virginia Slims, Marlboros. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna pass on this thirst of Hennessy to you. All right, and get this Hennessy in you. I'm gonna make you a man now. Yeah. You know, I heard about that Cyric. Yeah, you know the stuff with the daddy. Did it, daddy? Ciroc. Okay, that's what that is, young blood. Yeah. I'm gonna pass on the blessing of showing you how you could drink that Ciroc. Yeah, that's the one. With the circle on it. Yeah. It's like, okay, so what about, you know, being responsible, taking care of your family, this, that, and the third? See, young blood, you just gotta show up, and if you show up as a real man, young blood, the women will just fall in line like they did for me. But the women in your generation say you left. You just trying to be a smart mouth, ain't you, young blood? You just think you know it all. Nah. Some of those women, you know, they can't say that, you know, some of those women can't say that men left and at the same time they were raised by men and they were married. That makes absolutely no sense. So there's a bit of double-sided talking going on, right? So I get that exists. But, you know, just like the dysfunctional elders, yeah, I was in the streets, I was dealing dope. I was, you know what I'm saying, I was out there robbing and killing. Did you ever fix, you know, that situation? Did you ever atone for that? I went to church and God forgave me, young blood, okay? I don't understand what your problem is. You act like, you know, you can't move on. Well, I mean, some of the people you sold drugs to, some of their families is probably still messed up from it, right? God said I ain't got to worry about that. Oh, okay. So you never really checked up on the lives you affected. Listen, it says in Ephesians, you know, 5 and 9, fuck them people. That's what it said. Thus said the Lord. You know, but I'm tired of talking to you because, you know, I don't think you understand. Oh, okay. Right. As a person who's raised by my grandparents, I seen, you know, they hit me on bullshit artists a long time ago. You know, the pastors was pimps back in the day. Oh, so I can't look at a pastor who is a pimp who still acts like a pimp though he's a pastor with a side eye. I can't look at that. See, young blood, see, you don't understand. The man had a calling after he was pimping, and he still dressing. He still got the same tailor that he had when he was a pimp. He's still getting his hair permed, like he said, as a pimp. He's a preacher named Slickback. Say it all together like a Tribe Called Quest. A preacher named Slickback. You know, it's this dysfunctional generation, elders, and who think that, you know, being this dysfunctional doesn't bother anybody. It doesn't garner a bit of concern, because part of it is very much so disrespectful. You know, because you got elders who've been so dysfunctional, they have, not only don't they have nothing to pass down to the next generation as far as resources, they don't even have a knowledge to give us guys and younger guys a skill to pass down. And I remember this because there's a brother, an old black man in Dallas, because it was one of my coworkers is from Dallas. The old black man from Dallas who had a barbecue joint. He died. He was dying, but there's a younger brother who opened up a barbecue spot, and the older black man didn't have family didn't want to take it over or whatever. So once he was dead, that was it. So the younger brother that had the barbecue spot, the older man gave him his recipe. They weren't family members. The older man said, "Well, his barbecue spot had been so successful, So my homeboy says he went to this barbecue spot and he tasted it. He was like, this tastes like such and such. And the grill master, that's what you call him, he told him, he said, yeah, man, before he passed, he gave me the recipe because he wanted it to live on and he wanted to give it to somebody that was going to make use of it. Now, we're dealing with it, but, and that's functional, right? But we got dysfunctional elders who, whatever even knowledge that they have, they just willing to die with it and be a little, selfish about stuff, and then act like they don't know why the community keeps starting from scratch, even though they actually got a leg up from the people ahead of them, which is very much so hypocritical. But that's what I think about it. Like, share, subscribe. Catch y'all on the next one. Peace.